Okay, Rachel, episode 3 of the Calgary Fitness Podcast. And I'm super excited about this because you and I have known each other for what, 2, 3, maybe even 4 years now at this point?
2 or 3 years, I'd say.
2017-ish?
Yeah.
Yeah. And what I really respect about you and the way that you've kind of trained people is you're all-inclusive, right? So you're not just fitness, your nutrition, your yoga, your stretching, like you just have a full kind of toolkit. So before we get into it, tell everybody who you are, what you're into, and how your journey's led you to today.
Oh, wow. Okay, well, we will be here forever if we talked about my full journey. But my name is Rachel Joy Olsen, and I have been in the health and fitness industry professionally for over 20 years. So it's been almost 23 years now. I can't even believe I can say that.
Wow.
But I really got interested in fitness when I was 15 years old. And it was in high school. I hated being in gym class because I didn't like team sports. But when we did a bodybuilding or weightlifting section, I fell in love with it.
Yeah.
So I did a lot of that just personally for my own self. But professionally, I started my career. So university, I started by doing psychology. And then went, I don't know if I really want to do anything in psychology. Although I love the human brain and I love psychology, I just didn't see it as being like a career for me, like full-on psychology. So, even back up actually, I initially went to university to be a vet.
Okay.
And then I started hanging around with some veterinarians and I realized I loved animals too much to be a vet because I couldn't put them down. So then I thought, well, let's go into psychology because I had, my dad had mental issues. He was schizophrenic, manic depressant. So I thought I'm going to go into psychology to learn more about that, and which was very cool, and I did. So it was very cool. But then I thought, didn't want that to be a career. So I learned about kinesiology, and I realized that I could do psychology and kinesiology together and do a sports psychology degree. So that's kind of where it started. Is I initially went into kinesiology because I wanted to just really learn how to take care of my own body, right? I had always struggled with body image issues. And wanted to just learn how to take care of myself properly. So that's why I did that degree. And then while I was in that degree, or I wouldn't have been finished, I would have just kind of been starting, I got myself certified as a personal trainer. So I was working with Spa Lady at the time, back in the day, and loved it. And they actually, as a group, got a bunch of us ACE certified. They brought the team down because back then there wasn't anything online.
Yeah, right.
Right.
Where are we now, right?
Right. We all sat in this little room and we had to tick off the box with our pencils and whatever, and it was pretty cool. But it was my first introduction to any personal training certification. And so I've held on to my ACE certification this entire time. 22 some years later, I'm certified as a health coach with them. I've got lists and lists and lists of certifications. I'm a big study nerd. I love to learn. And I think that's why when you said I'm so well-rounded is that I just have never stopped my learning. I've always went, okay, how can I do better at this? Or how can I help my clients do this? Okay, I need to learn this. So, I've got a weight management specialty. I've got certified yoga instructor, as you said. I got into nutrition quite a few years ago, more than nutrition because I, again, wanted to learn how to feed myself. It all kind of stemmed with me being the guinea pig to start.
And the human body is so interesting too, because it's not like as a personal trainer, you can't grab from this and educate here and over here, give a little nugget right there. I think that's important when you're looking for like a personal trainer or a coach or something like that. Hey?
Well, I agree. And, I worked with Alberta Health Services coming right out of graduating my undergrad. I worked with Alberta Health Services and worked with chronic disease management. And that's what really started my journey, I think, into holistic health. And that's because I saw so much disappointment, maybe that's the word, in the medical community.
And back up, so what year would you guess?
So 2004.
Okay, so not
I graduated from university.
Okay.
Yeah, with my undergrad.
Yeah.
And and so when got into my actual exercise physiology kind of career, I would say. Working as a kinesiologist, loved it, but I saw so many sick people and I knew it didn't need to be that way. But every single one of them were getting, in my opinion, the wrong advice. It went completely against kind of the holistic studies that I was doing on my own. And I saw dietitians giving them this crazy advice. I'm thinking, you're actually trying to keep them sick. You know, and I'd see people who were like, maybe I was young then, so I would have been, you know, in my 20s, and people that were maybe my mom's age, who's only 19 years older than me, so maybe in their mid 40s, who had pages and pages of medication. They were overweight. They had no idea why they were even on that medication, you know, and luckily the program we worked with was helping them be active to manage their condition.
Sure.
But then what I saw on the nutrition side is it wasn't adding up. Right. So I think that's what really sparked my nutrition. Right. I started getting into that.
Yeah. So let's talk about the book.
Yeah.
Going meatless, I guess, you know, 15 years ago, what kind of stemmed from, you know, where you were 15 years ago into now today, you've launched a book, you've released a book.
This is actually my 4th book.
Well, come on. Okay.
But yeah, so my very first book, I just put it away actually, was a lifestyle and cookbook. It was called The Magic of Living Nutrition. And that came from my journey to becoming meatless or plant-based. So, man, I don't know how long, mid-20s, even early 20s, I would say, I got interested in bodybuilding and started training for figure shows. Okay. So not super lean like a bodybuilder, but not really skinny like a fitness. So it was kind of, you had to have muscle mass, and I always have had muscle mass. I can pretty much look at a weight and build muscle. But I've never been good at losing the body fat. That's always been a struggle for me. Now I know why it was, but so back then, you know, we would work hard and we would try to starve ourselves and eat nothing but chicken and broccoli, and it was the most disgusting thing ever. Boring. And
disgusting. Yeah.
And I got really sick doing it.
Okay.
So my digestion completely stopped. My stomach got bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, and I couldn't lose weight. I was breaking out. And I'm going, what the hell's going on? Yeah. So I started doing some reading, and at that time I did have some eating disorders. So I would get into binge eating disorder and then work out. So it was exercise bulimia, essentially what it was, right? Body dysmorphia. I hated what I saw in the mirror, and just really only thing I could control was food, but yet I couldn't control it, right? I would get to the point where I'd eat so much and I'd be so full and I'd be so sick. And then of course the guilt comes in. Why would I do that? You know, this and that. So anyway, so I started doing some reading and research on how can I make my digestion better, because it never was good. And some of the books that I read said, one of the books that I actually read was Eat Right for Your Blood Type.
Okay.
So a lot of people have heard about that one, the blood type diet. And I think I just was lucky that I had type A. And for type A's, he recommended a vegetarian or plant-based diet. Okay. So I thought, I'm going to give this a go. Because I never felt that great. I'd grown up on meat. I grew up on a farm. We had meat. We had our fresh chickens and that sort of thing. It was just part of our lives. Yeah. But I just started feeling ill whenever I trained for a bodybuilding diet, which was meat heavy. And I'm thinking, this doesn't make any sense. Everybody else seems to be okay on it. How come I can't be?
Sure.
And so I started following the plant-based diet and went, I'm starting to feel better. Right? And so I thought, okay, I'm going to find a coach, a trainer who is plant-based, who can maybe take me to the stage. And so I found one. He was in Toronto, but he said, you can do it. You'll do it if you go raw, 100% raw vegan. Wow. And by then I'd already cut out meat. I'd already cut out red meat and chicken. So I thought, okay, I just have to cut out fish, eggs, and dairy. That's no problem. Just teach me how to do it. And I felt absolutely amazing.
Nice.
Amazing. Yeah. I felt lighter. My skin cleared up. I really leaned out quickly without even hardly trying. The problem was he put me on too much of a deprivation diet. Okay. And knowing what I know now, he was starving my body, so I wasn't losing the stress belly. So I was 2 weeks at a stage. I was starving myself. I'd been working my butt in the gym for, an hour and a half, 2 hours a day, cardio, weights, that sort of thing. And, but I was juicing.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Do you mind if I stop for a
Not
second
at all.
and grab her?
No.
Come here, all right. So
just want some attention.
Yeah, she just wants attention.
Yeah.
But I was juicing, so I did nothing but drink 5 juices a day and train 6 days a week.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
So think of how many calories. It's no calories whatsoever. It's almost negligible. And so I said to my trainer, I said, I can't get rid of this stress belly. And he's like, I have no idea. He couldn't help me. His knowledge, unfortunately, just couldn't help me. Yeah. And I quit. And I gained probably 20 pounds overnight.
Wow.
Yeah, because I started eating food.
Yeah.
And my body was in massive stress mode and gained weight.
Yeah.
So I thought, okay, this isn't good. So I started doing more research and feeding myself. And that's kind of where the first book came from, is that I started saying to my friends, try this. And they were kind of interested in what I was eating, and I was feeling good. And they said, why don't you write a book, right? And share some of this stuff. So I did.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So that's kind of where that came about. And I love to read, and I love to educate. I love to write.
Yeah.
And that's where this one came from.
Here we are.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So
yeah.
I think a lot of people, when they hear vegan, like the big thing in 2019, game changers, right?
Yeah.
So tell me your opinion on that. And I guess, would you change anything from that, or have you seen it? Or...
Yeah, I've seen it.
Yeah.
I personally love it.
Okay.
But I also can come at it from, I can decipher what's kind of true and what's not true and logically look at things. I personally love Game Changers. I think it does portray that people can be active and on a plant-based diet. I think what the misdemeanor, the misunderstanding with the vegan diet is that you do not need meat protein to be an athlete. Yeah. Like, you just don't. And again, that's where the unfortunate part about it is people just don't know enough about the science of nutrition. If they did, they would know that the body can use plant-based protein actually even more efficiently than meat protein, right? With less waste.
Sure.
So plant-based athletes, if you think about it, if a diet is full of plants are anti-inflammatory. So when somebody is very active and working out a lot, what are they doing? They're building up their inflammation. Yeah. And I see that a lot with some of the people that I work with now, is that they're in high inflammation mode. And then you look at their diet, and their diet is contributing to that inflammation. Sure. So they're sore, they're not losing weight, they're breaking out perhaps, they have low energy. It's because that body is in acid, high inflammation mode. Where a diet predominantly in plants will help clear out that inflammation and that excess lactic acid or whatever is there. Yeah. So a lot of people come in the next day, I'm so sore. Are you sore from that workout? And I'm like, no, I actually don't get sore very often. If I do, it's like, I kind of feel that. But ever since I've gone plant-based, like I remember when I used to train, we would train heavy bodybuilding, right? And hard. Yeah. I would feel like I'd been run over by a truck. Like I literally couldn't get out of bed. You had to get up and do it the next day.
Of course.
But now I can train. I've never been fitter. Yeah. Never been healthier. Mm-hmm. And I hardly ever get sore. Wow. Right? Because my diet is alkaline enough to help clean out some of that crap. Yeah. Yeah. Right. Now,
I do want to put a caveat out there. I am a meat eater.
Yeah.
But this has never been meat versus veggies.
No.
This is it's so important to have like a wider scope, right? Yes. And really understanding that it's not A against B or one is better than the other. You just need to find what works for you.
Well, and here's the thing. People can add, that's why I used to be, it's all about health, but it's not. Because somebody can be extremely healthy and still eat meat. Mm-hmm. You can. Mm-hmm. That actually research supports 5% animal products in the diet is still actually in some cases healthier than vegan. Okay. And the reason why that is because there's a lot of junk food vegans out there. Yeah. So that's kind of why this book came out, is that this is teaching people how to go meatless in a healthy way. Because unless you're going to be healthy, there's no sense going meatless, in my opinion. Yeah. Right? Yeah. I don't think anybody should be eating processed junk food. Period. Right? I don't care what diet you choose. Yeah. So when I teach my clients, I let them know that I am plant-based and they know it. Yeah. However, regardless of what you choose to eat, we all need more fruits and vegetables. Every single one of us need more fruits and vegetables. Yeah. And that's why I think it's funny when somebody says, well, I could never go vegan. Well, do you eat fruits and vegetables? Well, that's plant-based food. Yeah. So regardless of whether you eat meat or not, doesn't matter. But are you eating enough of the good stuff in your diet? Sure. Right? Because you truly we are not carnivores. Yeah. As much as we do, can process meat, we are not carnivores. Yeah. The cat in this house is a carnivore. She's the only one who should truly be eating a pure meat diet. Sure. That's it. Yeah. Even the dog is an omnivore, right? Yeah. And can we live on an omnivorous diet? Absolutely. Yeah. There's that, are we herbivores? Are we omnivores? Well, we could be somewhere in between, right? Because we can thrive with a little bit of animal products. Yeah. But I think it's important is that we got to have fruits and vegetables, and we have to have fiber. Yeah. The biggest issue, and I believe in our world today, is we don't get enough fiber. Mm-hmm. Well, where does fiber come from? Plant-based foods. Yeah. And there's zero fiber in meat. There's zero fiber in animal. So you can't survive on that, right? And that's why we have so many digestive problems, a lot of colon cancers, a lot of heart problems, because people aren't getting enough fiber. So that's the first thing. I always say to my clients, I don't care if you eat meat or not. I really don't. That is your choice. That is everybody's choice. But I need you to get more fiber.
Yeah.
I need you to get more fiber. If you can get more fiber, anything outside of that, eat whatever you want.
100%.
Right?
Yeah. So, A Beginner's Guide to Going Meatless. Pick up the book if you haven't got it yet. Is it ebook available? Or
it is ebook
okay.
available, so it's on my website at livingmeatless.com.
Okay. And I guess if someone was curious and not, like, what can they expect out of the book?
So
what's in there?
really the book, what's really cool about it is my editor, actually, she's an athlete, but not vegan, and has no intention of ever going meatless. But what she said was that when she read this, she really enjoyed the fact that it's non-threatening. I don't put anybody down for their choices. It's truly about, here's why you might want to consider it. Here's why you might want to just add a few more meatless things into your diet. So she even said that, you know what, I now understand a little bit more about why these foods are important to eat, especially as an athlete. Yeah. Right? And that anybody, even she said she started making some of the recipes, and if, it's even maybe a side dish. So it's really for anyone who just wants to learn how to feed their body in a healthier way. Yeah. Right? And just understand, and I think it's important to be educated on why are so many people going meatless these days. And everybody has their own reason. Right? And everybody is different. I personally went meatless for health, and then it moved into animal ethics and environment. Sure. Once I understood a little bit more. And some people are the other. I've had people tell me that I would rather die of, cancer or disease or whatever than eat another animal. And I'm thinking, well, okay, that's fine. Fair enough. That's your choice. But we're not doing ourselves any favors by that. And we're giving the whole thing a bad name. Yeah. Right? Yeah. Like, I think there can be both. For sure. Right? That if you want to save the animals, you can save them the best by giving this choice the best name. Cool. Right?
That is so cool. So let's take that a little bit further. I wanted to talk a little bit about like fueling your workout. Yeah. And I think that, a vegan diet, vegetarian diet, those things sometimes get a bad rap because, I'm not getting adequate protein. I'm not getting this and that and this and that, right? So I guess if someone who trains, let's just throw Mary, she trains 3-4 times per week. I guess how would you look at their lifestyle and how they're training, and how would you fuel them?
Yeah. Well, first of all, number one, I'm not a calorie counter. Okay. All right. I mean, maybe it's because I understand calories enough to know what my diet looks like as far as calories, but I usually tell people, number one, stop counting calories and get off the damn scale. Yeah. Right? Yeah. Because both of them will drive you crazy, especially for women. I work mostly with women, but I'd say a lot of men too. Yeah. Right? They still are affected.
It exists. Body dysmorphia exists for men too, right?
Right. So fueling the body, I'd say the biggest mistake people make is doing high intensity workouts fasted.
Okay.
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
Why?
So the reason why I think about it this way, and the research actually does support it. The only time they say, and I actually just wrote an article for the Impact magazine on this, so it should be coming out soon. But the reason for this is the only way they would say a morning fast, because a lot of people are like, I can't eat in the morning. Sure. And that's fair enough, right? You don't want something sitting heavy when you do a high intensity workout. I get that. But then you've got to make sure that the day before and the evening before, you are stocked up on your high carbohydrate meal.
Okay, starchy carbs, right?
Right, you got to get it, right? Because so I always, when I used to teach my personal training students, I would say, think of it this way, even my clients, I'd say, all right, if you go on a long car ride, a road trip, do you need to have a full tank of gas? Yeah, you do. Absolutely. Right? You have to have a full tank of gas. But if you're not driving anywhere, do you need a full tank of gas? No, you don't. Yeah. So this is where carbohydrates get a bad rap. Is on these low carb diets, the research is done on people who are sick and dying in hospital beds. They don't need carbohydrates when they're sick and dying in a hospital bed because they don't need energy to fuel their body. Yeah. Right? But if you're a high level athlete, I can pretty much guarantee you a high level professional athlete is not low carb because they cannot perform and they know it. Yeah. Right? You have to have. Now, when I say carbohydrates, I'm not talking processed carbohydrates. I'm not talking candies and sugar and breads and pastas. And don't get me wrong, some of that stuff has its place, right? Endurance athletes, pasta is kind of a nice way because it gives you lots of carbohydrates, fuel, and stocked up into the muscle tissue. But you have to have fuel in your body in order to perform at your best. Yeah. If you don't want to perform at your best, then don't eat. Yeah. All right. Right? The choice is yours. Right? So a lot of people, come out of a let's say a workout and go, oh, I'm so drained and, I'm not recovering. And the first thing I ask is, have you eaten? How are you fueling your body?
Yeah.
Right?
Nice.
So we need to have that fuel right before we work out. So something lighter, 30 to 45 minutes before, or something more like a simple carbohydrate. Usually I say a banana. That's my favorite. Bananas are my favorite. And then, or oatmeal about an hour and a half to an hour before.
So if it's something that's thicker, you would give it more time.
You give it more time.
Okay.
And then right after, within 30 minutes, we need carbohydrates and protein. We need both of them to replenish.
Yeah.
Now, one of the ladies said, they're, comparing their protein bars and this and that, and I'm eating an apple. And they just looked at me and I was like, okay, I get it. I get that there's protein in there. I get that there's that, because everybody's always about protein, right? Not about carbs. And I just said that, but did you realize there's 10,000 phytonutrients in an apple alone? So tell me which one's better, that packaged bar or the apple?
Yeah.
And the apple has protein in it.
Right.
It's not a lot,
No.
but it still has some. And they kind of looked at me and went, wow. So it's not only the macronutrients, your protein, carbs, and fats that we need to worry about, because we need them all. But people forget about our micronutrients, our vitamins, minerals, and antioxidants.
Yeah.
And that's where we're going wrong.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I mean, it is such an industry right now where we go back to this is better than this, plain as day. Let's be so dogmatic. This is right, this is wrong, but that's not the way it is, right? Just like you said, right? Somebody could eat an apple after a workout and a protein shake, and that's good, right? But then somebody does need a few more starchy carbs and things like, and the way that I recommend to my clients is you have to make mistakes. You have to understand that your body will react different ways, right?
Absolutely.
So pay attention to, if you had sweet potato at night, how did you feel after you ate that? How did you feel after the oatmeal? How did you feel, right? And don't complicate it by doing like oatmeal, walnuts, hemp hearts, fruit juice, because then you can't really identify that certain product, right? So,
well, I really believe that we are our own science experiment, but I guess that's kind of because I am a bit of a science nerd, and it really is all about trial and error. And I think that's where a lot of it is unfortunate, is people aren't stopping enough to recognize how their body feels. Right?
Yes, right?
Right? Because it's just, we're
it's
shoving something in our face and we're running to the gym or we're running outside, and they're not thinking about, well, how did I just feel on that?
Right? And the way I like to think of that is you've got your logical side of the brain and then you've got the emotional side of the brain, right? And we are so obsessed with the logics.
Yeah.
X plus Y should equal Z.
Yeah.
How come I'm not losing weight? How come I'm not getting faster? How come I'm not getting stronger? Rather than, how am I sleeping at night? How are my emotions? How are my relationships?
How's my recovery?
How is my recovery?
Totally.
And that's the emotional side of things that are actual, real results that I try to get into people's heads, right?
Well, that's how my training has morphed over the years, right? Because it did used to be about that. It used to be like, you got to count your calories, you got to go to the gym. This is how it is, because that's how we're trained, right? But I know even in my own personal experience and all the coaches I've worked with, when I set somebody up on a health coaching program, which I do a lot more than personal training now, because I believe in it all around. Yeah. I don't believe in just going to the gym and lifting weights. That's a teeny tiny little piece of it. If you're not working on everything else, right, it all has to come together. Like you said, are you sleeping at night? Are you taking care of your emotional health? Because that will affect how you perform in the gym and the results you get. So I always say to my clients, our session number 1 is, how do you feel about yourself? And most women are going to be like, I hate myself. I hate when I look in the mirror. I can't even look in the mirror. All I do is stand on the scale and don't look at myself. And I'm like, number 1, we need to start loving ourselves. I said to a client, a lot of my clients I'll say, but I said to a client not too long ago, it's just, think of let's get away from the body. Because we're too focused on what our body looks like, right? And it's like, let's start focusing on your accomplishments in your life. And she went, what? I said, you've had a lot of accomplishments. So I want you to focus on those. And then I want you to thank your body for allowing you to do those things, right? So often I say when I'm teaching a fitness class or I'm at a gym, people are feeling like, oh, and I just, I usually like to say, like in my mind, personally, this is my own mantra, is that thank you for letting me do this every day, because there's a lot of people that can't.
Yes.
Right? So we need to first and foremost be grateful for the bodies that we have right now that even allow us to go to the gym or to go to these places. Because there are a lot of people who'd love to go and they aren't able to. right? So those of us who are able-bodied, we're so many women are sitting there, and I did it too for many years, hated myself so much. Why wasn't my body changing? Your body doesn't change until you love it. Excess body fat is a protective mechanism, either from toxins physically or emotionally. And as soon as that stuff is released, the body doesn't need to hold body fat anymore. Right. It can just let it go.
Yeah. And I think that if there are any trainers listening or watching this right now, you need to have some empathy. You need to have some empathy for those people who are obsessed with results and aren't loving themselves, because you know what? It's not as easy as put them through an intense workout, put them through a tough workout, and then leave them on the day.
The unfortunate part about it is I think trainers need to learn that themselves.
Oh, thank you.
Because in my 20-some year career, and don't get me wrong, I've grown myself. At 20, I was not this coach.
Sure.
I was a very different, hardcore, more is better, no pain, no gain, whatever. If you didn't work hard enough, like, you know what I'm saying? If, you know, it's just about, you eat too much, no problem, just go work harder in the gym.
Yeah.
Where I wasn't like this before, but it is truly, we need to, as trainers, look at ourselves and go, am I hating myself? Am I giving myself recovery? Am I truly being that role model?
Yeah.
Am I obsessed with the scale? Am I obsessed with measurements? Am I obsessed with my food? You know, when I see my clients, when I say, you don't have to worry about that stuff, release it. And the stress just goes, you mean I don't have to weigh my food every day? You mean I don't have to be guilty if I eat this? I'm like, no.
Yeah.
Let's release the guilt. If you want a piece of chocolate cake, you enjoy a piece of chocolate cake. But I always say, number one, you shouldn't be having it every day, because you got to think, you know, I want it, but do I need it? Right? You kind of have to consciously be making choices.
Yeah.
But if you're going to eat that chocolate cake, you better be enjoying every bite.
Yes.
This is the most amazing chocolate cake I've ever had. I love that I can enjoy it, because then all of a sudden you won't really even want to eat it at that much anymore.
Yeah.
But as soon as you're going, I hate myself for eating this cake. I feel guilty for eating this cake. Scientifically, they have proven that it causes weight gain. That a negative emotional thought process.
Almost more so than eating the damn cake itself.
It does.
Yes.
I have never been less focused on my diet now, and I've never been leaner.
I think that's the clip we need to take right there. Right? And like, again, a caveat to that, this is not binging for the sake of binging.
No.
And this is not saying that you need to train less hard in the gym.
Absolutely
That's not what this is about. This is about 85 years from now, when you're on your deathbed and you're looking back to January, whenever, 2020, you're not going to care. You're not going to care if you ate that chocolate cake. You're not going to care that you could lift a 55-pound dumbbell instead of a 65. Like, it doesn't matter.
No. And the 80-20 rule, it applies to everything. You know, like I say to my clients, if you eat, so let's say most people eat 3 to 4 meals a day. Yeah. Let's just say on average. So let's say that's about 21 meals a week, right? So on average, that's about 3 or 4 meals that you truly could have for fun. Right? If you enjoy chocolate cake and you just feel like your life would be over if, you know, somebody said you could never eat it again, then enjoy it. That's 1 meal a day that you get to enjoy. Yeah. Or not a day, a week. Yeah. Right? Yeah. And then, you know, to me, it's more about being conscious, right? So how I taught myself was that I used to binge on all this junk food that made me sick. So now, and how I trained my mind was, do I want to feel sick? Do I want to feel sick for the next 3 hours, or do I want to eat that? Yeah. Do I want to feel sluggish in the gym the next day? Do I want to feel gross at work the next day? Yeah. And then my mind started going, no, you don't. It feels better to feel good. Right? Yeah. So then soon a lot of those things went away. Now, don't get me wrong. A lot of the things that helped me was going meatless, going plant-based. Yeah. Because I've been meatless now, vegan now for 10 years, vegetarian 10 years before that. Okay. And back then, there wasn't the vegan junk food that there is now. Because once I wasn't able to eat that stuff. So hang on,
what's vegan junk? Like kale chips? Like what are you talking about?
So let's say, for example, back in the day, there was no such thing as a vegan donut or a vegan cinnamon bun.
Okay.
Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like kale chips, no. I mean, that's health food as far as I'm concerned. Eat them every day. So I just couldn't eat it. And once I couldn't eat burgers anymore, I just couldn't eat fast food anymore. That was just out. Yeah. So I had to eat healthier, where now, you know, you can go to A&W and get a plant-based burger. And don't be wrong, they're great, and I do enjoy them every once in a while. Yeah. You know, they're still junk food, and they're still to be taken as a treat meal. This is not health food. And that's where, you know, it's frustrating seeing, Beyond Burger, these vegans, you know, it's not good. Well, neither is a burger from McDonald's.
Right.
Like it's not, neither one of them are good. They're
Yeah.
not a good choice.
Yeah.
But is it okay to have a treat once in a while? Of course it is.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with having a treat
We're
once
humans.
in a while.
We're humans. We need to.
And that's how I train my clients too. Because what happens when you tell somebody they can't do something?
They're going to put up a wall.
Or they want it all the more.
Yeah.
You tell a 2-year-old not to do something, they're
yeah.
like, right?
Yep.
I mean, at least that's how I was.
Yep.
You know, and as soon as you say you can't eat chocolate or you can't do this, people are like, so when everybody, sometimes people say, oh, you're plant-based, so you can't eat that. And I say, well, actually I can. I can eat whatever I want. I just choose not to.
Yeah.
It's not that I can't.
Mm-hmm.
I've made the choice to not eat some of those things.
Yeah.
Nobody's telling me I can't.
And you know what? Something I heard the other day, which I thought was really, really powerful, is that when you tell somebody that they should or should not do something, that promotes shame right there.
Absolutely.
Right away. But if you tell something that they could or could not, then it gives them permission.
That's right.
Right? So I think that was super powerful. So even in the language that I give out now to my clients is, you could do this. Go ahead.
That's right.
Give yourself permission. Give them choice, right?
Yes.
Rather than shaming them, because it's hard. This fitness game is hard. It's hard, you know, from if you're a beginner, if you're somebody who's been doing this for 10 years and looking to conquer your next mountain or your next marathon or whatever you're trying to go through, right? It's not easy, right? So,
but I think it really comes down to we need to use our brains more. I'm just actually reading David Goggins' book.
Oh, I love him.
I can't remember the name of it, but I am blown away.
Oh my gosh.
You know, and like I know I personally couldn't do, or maybe I shouldn't say I couldn't, but I don't really want to do the things that he did to himself, you know, for training. But it's just, you know, reminding me that we're not using these enough, right? And that's where that empowerment and choice comes in, instead of, like you said, shaming somebody, saying as a coach, you can't do this. Well, number one, that's not coaching.
No.
That's bossing somebody around.
Exactly.
Coaching is empowering the person you're working with to make their own choices with the right guidance.
100%.
Right? Yeah. And unfortunately, there's a lot of coaches out there telling people what to do. Yeah. Right?
Yeah.
Instead of guiding.
And like I understand why they're doing that. Yeah. Is because people there is an audience out there
they
who
want to
is
be
saying,
told what to do.
Just give me the information. I don't care. Here's my money. Hand it over. Like, I just want you to fix me right now and give me the steps and I'll follow them. Right?
But it doesn't work.
It doesn't work.
Never works.
It never works.
But as soon as you empower somebody to make their own choices, they will do it longer term. Yeah. So whenever I work with my clients, I'm like, I need you to know right now that this is not a quick fix. And if you are looking for the quick fix person to help you, I need you to go find someone else. Yeah. Like I will actually, in my personal practice, tell people that I'm not the right fit. I always do an initial interview with somebody and let them know. Like I had one guy years ago say, I'll work with you, but what did he say? But if you make me eat a salad or if you try to turn me vegan or something, then we're going to have problems. And I just initially said, I'm not the right coach for you, because if I ask you to eat a salad because everybody needs more fruits and vegetables, then you're going to think I'm trying to turn you vegan. So I said, I know someone who's a perfect fit for you. He was a healthy guy, really great trainer, and I knew they would be a good fit. Good. So I just said, you know what, work. And he actually came back to me and said, thank you so much. He's amazing. Yeah. So sometimes I think it's on us as coaches too to say, I'm not the right fit for you. Yeah. But the reason I do that is because I want to make sure that people know that, because some people want that diet. Some people want that quick fix. Yeah. And I'm not your gal. This is a lifestyle.
Thank you.
And every day we should be making choices that it's gonna get us better. Yeah. Not that we're not happy with where we are right now. One of the mantras I tell my clients right away is you need to say, I love and accept myself exactly as I am right now. Yeah. Yeah. And then you can move forward. Yeah. Because until we can accept where we are, we can't move forward. Sure. Right? So I'm always remind yourself where you're at. That's not saying you're gonna settle and be content. It's just saying that I'm okay with where I'm at right now. I recognize where I'm at right now. Now where do I need to go to get me to my goals? Yeah. Right? 100%. And it always is allowing them to start from such a more positive mindset instead of, you've got weight to lose, you've got to do this, and this is how you got to get there. And it doesn't work. No. Right? So
I want to go back to our hypothetical Mary that we mentioned. So your first session, you want to, give them the power, you want to empower them and approach this more holistically. So let's say, for example, she was working out 2-3 days per week. I guess, are there specific foods that you'd recommend, or is it meal timing, or kind of what's your approach there?
Sorry about the dog.
Oh,
It's okay. All right. So I would say, I rarely start at nutrition, but we can start there. The very first thing I need to do is make sure they're hydrated.
Okay.
I would say that's the very first thing is hydration. The majority of the people I find aren't drinking enough water. And that will prevent any sort of performance and weight loss for sure. Because people forget that water and hydration is part of nourishment. Right? And actually more important than food. Right? Because we can go longer without food than we can without water. Right? I actually trained a client. She had probably 200 pounds to lose. And she was maybe drinking a liter of water a day. I don't even think she was. She was somebody who should have been drinking 3 to 4 liters of water a day. So our average Mary, number one, people are going to hate me for saying this probably, but breakfast.
Sure.
And not everybody can eat breakfast, but the reason why I say breakfast is that, and it doesn't matter what time it is, in my opinion, but if you get up to go work out, you have to get that meal in. Like as we talked, right? Because fasting, high intensity workout, if you're just going to go walk the dog leisurely, you don't need to eat.
Sure.
Right? But if you're going to go and kick butt and perform and, right, that sort of thing. I mean, talk to any ultra marathoner and they would never do it with no food.
Yeah.
They wouldn't survive.
Yeah.
The body would shut down.
Yeah.
So the timing around the workouts is essential. Absolutely essential. So that an hour before, 30 minutes before, and then right away after.
Okay.
I even say to my clients, like, have something in your gym bag so that you're getting it in your mouth the minute you are done your workout, walking to the car. Don't wait till you get home and make dinner. It's too long. Because what happens, we get home, we start getting into the fridge for the crackers or something quick. Because the reason why we crave crackers, as a lot of people do, or chips or something like that, is your body runs on carbohydrates. Your mind, your brain. And as soon as your brain starts to shut down, it says, you need to eat something that's going to give me sugar right now. And that's why we're thinking carbs, right? Because the body knows that's the quickest form of fuel, right? But as far as other nutrition, definitely an abundance of fruits and vegetables. I suggest that somebody eats fruits and vegetables, maybe not so much as fruits, like fruits for sure. I think it's wrong that people cut fruits out. If you look at my fruit bowl, it's huge. But because there's so many micronutrients in fruits, right? Your vitamins, your minerals, and most of the antioxidants to help prevent inflammation come from fruit. Now there's some fruits that are better than others. There's so much to this, right? Like there's so much to this.
I just threw a curveball at you with Mary because Mary could be overweight, she could be underweight, she could be, you know what I mean? But at the end of the day, you have to eat the food to make sure that you're fueling yourself. Because do you know how many people that I've watched them go through their journey, track their food, and I've told 90% of my clients, you need to eat more. You need to eat more. You need to eat more. And they're like, well, I'm full. So it's totally a catch-22, right? It's like,
well, and
you can't starve yourself to get the results that you want.
I know, you cannot starve yourself, but you're right. So a lot of people it actually takes, so I had a client or a lady that said, I don't like eating a lot of carbohydrates because I seem to want to eat more. It makes me hungrier. And I said, well, yeah, because number one, carbohydrates burn faster in your body. So you have to eat more. So that's a lot of mistakes that people make when going plant-based is they say, oh, I needed more protein. I didn't have energy. Well, protein doesn't give us energy. Protein helps us recover and repair our muscles. It doesn't give us energy. It gives you energy when you're starving to death. That's really, I mean, the calories in it will give you a bit, but it's really, the calories and stuff is really more used for the body to recover and repair. So it has nothing to do with low energy. Your low energy problem came from you weren't eating enough food. You have to eat enough. You got to put enough gas in the tank for the body to move. So if you're feeling low energy, there's two things. You're either not eating enough calories or food overall, or you're not eating the right things.
Correct.
Right? When you're eating more fruits and vegetables and whole grains and healthy carbohydrates, you'll have way more energy. But you got to eat more of them.
100%. And for me personally, when I coach people through it, I recommend, and there are studies they kind of say against this, but I'm actually of the mind that 0.7 to 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight is a good number to be at.
Per kilogram.
Per kilogram. Oh.
So the bodybuilding world goes by pounds because it boosts the protein. But it's this really the average person 0.8 to 1 per kilogram of body weight. And then a strength athlete up to 1.7 grams per kilogram. An endurance athlete about 1.3 grams. But your average person, Mary, she really doesn't need any more than 0.8 grams per kilogram of body weight. So let's say an average person of 150 pounds. They don't need any more than 75 grams. Max. Right? Pretty much.
Right.
So, I mean, and 70 grams happens quickly.
It does.
So if you really are tracking that, I mean, you have a bowl of oatmeal, and like I would have oatmeal in the morning. I would have like a bean salad at lunch, and then maybe a stir fry at the night. And I've blown that protein. Like 1 cup of chickpeas has 30 grams of protein. Wow. That's half your servings a day in protein, plus the fiber that goes along with it, right? In 1 cup of food. So, you know, it really, we don't need as much as we think. Right? And I think too many people are focusing too much on protein and not enough on carbohydrates. And actually, if you look at how the body processes both, if you don't have carbohydrates in the body to support that protein, the body goes into stress mode and acid comes up. And you know, this ketosis crap comes up. And I'll say that because I'm not a big fan of that, because it's very detrimental long term. And the research does support it, that it's detrimental long term. The only good thing I'd have to say about people that go on those kinds of diets is that they end up cutting out the crap. And so of course they see results, because if you're not eating garbage anymore, you're not eating cookies and cakes and crap carbohydrates, then you're gonna see results. And that's how everybody should eat. I believe that everybody should eat a whole food diet. If it's coming from real food, eat it. If it's not, think about it.
So and I think the way that I try to, what do you mean a whole food diet? If it can go bad on your counter, then eat it.
And if it hasn't been processed.
There you go.
Right?
Exactly. Like a protein bar could essentially go bad on your counter, right?
If it's homemade.
Sure. Exactly.
A packaged protein bar would take months, maybe a year.
I think have you seen those like elaborate videos of the McDonald's and the fries? And like
they never go bad.
And that's the thing, right? But you know, that's a signal too. Is you don't want to eat that. So
but it's true. It's true. If it'll go bad on your counter within 5 days, you know. And I've sometimes had I bought this organic broccolini once. No, it wasn't organic. I can't remember. But it stayed in my fridge, and I actually did it as an experiment. It stayed in my fridge for months before it turned.
Wow.
Months.
Wow.
So even our fruits and vegetables are really suspect on as far as healthy these days, because of all the chemicals that are on them. Of course. That's the crappy part.
I know. And this is obviously not to overwhelm anybody, because it is a lot of information.
It is a lot.
But at the end of the day, it's just that. Right? So if we were to, summarize this, it would be love yourself. First and foremost, right? Eat a whole food diet.
Keep it simple.
Keep it simple.
Very simple.
Eat some breakfast, I think.
Or something before you get into activity.
Sure.
Right?
Doesn't need to be a full meal. Doesn't need to be bacon and eggs or whatever, right?
No, definitely not. It needs to be just a little something, half a banana, something to fuel you for your workout or whatever you're going to do.
Cool. So if anybody wanted to get the book, where can they get it?
So livingmeatless.com. And then I also do my coaching practice out of rjowellness.com.
Okay. Anything else you wanted to add before we say goodbye?
I mean, I think I like that we said just, it really is about simplifying things again, right? Because I think we get too complicated, and sometimes I think people are like, but that's too easy. That's too simple. There's got to be more to this. And it actually doesn't. It needs to be very basic and very simple.
It needs to be something that you can do.
And it needs to be something you can do for a long time.
And I put out a post the other day. It was something like, the best exercise routine is the one you're doing.
Yes, exactly.
The best meal plan you're eating is the one that you can do. Right? And that's, I think that at the end of the day is super important to get in people's minds. And the results that come out of that too, right? We mentioned sleep. We mentioned the mental health, right? But like cardio, like how's your heart health? How's your lungs? How is your liver? How's your organs? Everything like that. How are your pants fitting?
Well, that's just it, right? It doesn't have to be getting on the scale. It's just how do your pants fitting? But I think too many of us are worried about our limbs. I want bigger biceps or bigger shoulders or a tighter butt. But we're forgetting about the one that's like the muscle that's the most important, and that's the heart and the lungs and our organs. We're forgetting about that, because if we don't have that, we have nothing. right?
Yeah.
You know, so keeping it simple, and the emotional and sleep is huge. So taking some time. I actually give my clients homework of, all right, you're going to close your eyes and sit in silence for 5 minutes a day. And most of them can't do it, but they could do a 90-minute workout at the gym. But just to calm and relax the mind. You don't even have to think about anything. You can just sit there and listen to music, but just calm down, right? I know when I teach fitness classes, so many people run out before the stretching.
Oh, yeah.
It's one of my biggest pet peeves.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, we only stretch for 3 or 4 minutes. It's not that long, but it's not just about the muscles. It's about taking a moment to just breathe. Yeah. Because if our nervous system doesn't come off that fight or flight, it'll never shut off all day. Yeah. And then again, we get into stress mode, right? And stress mode means stress belly, usually, right? So it's just take a moment just to breathe, relax, and congratulate yourself for a job well done. Yeah. Take a moment to actually celebrate that instead of just what's next and run out the door, right? I mean, just calm, relax, chill out,
and that's
okay.
hard. That's hard for a lot of people who are high energy driven.
Yeah, totally.
Right? You know, executives, those kinds of things who have the busy lives, and like it's just that, when is my next appointment?
Totally.
Right?
But I get it.
I get it too.
I've actually been there.
It's totally.
Right? I learned this technique from a coach I worked with 15 years ago, and I was like, I can't do that. Are you crazy? Yeah. I can't. What? I got things to do. Yeah. But it wasn't until then that things started to change. So, you know, it's just breathe a little bit, take it easy, simple. Yeah.
So 2 more questions before I let you go, but I want to know, this might get super abstract, but how does somebody love themselves?
Practice. So one of the things I actually like to do, especially for women, I do work with a lot of ladies, is I just say, you need to look at yourself in the mirror every day and be like, I love you, or I'm awesome. So what I did personally for my own practice, and it helped me, was instead of looking in the mirror going, oh, you're so fat, you're so ugly, you're so this and that, which I used to do, I just started saying, damn girl, you look fine. Right? And I kind of out loud. Yeah. And then I kind of laughed about it and got some energy around it. Like Tony Robbins is always about energy. And I just would kind of laugh about it. And then pretty soon you start to believe it. And you're just like, and then it's just a matter of shifts. As soon as you go, nope, I love myself. I look great. I have a strong body. I have this. And just kind of remind yourselves of all the things that are amazing. And, you know, it's not about I love myself and being egotistical about it. It's just, you know, just loving yourself and what your body does for you instead of, and I think it is conscious. It's being mindful and stopping yourself as soon as those negative thoughts come in. Yeah. Oh, my ass looks fat in these pants or whatever, right? And how many women have said that, you know, to their boyfriends, does this make me look fat? Well, it might, but it just shouldn't matter. You should walk out of there going, I look great and I feel great, because too many people they're avoiding their life because of their insecurities of their body, and it's a shame. Right? Right? There's a lot of people who are denying themselves life because they're, you know, scared of how they look in a pair of pants. I mean, it's horrible. Yeah. But I mean, I've been there, so I get it. But I used to not go to parties. I mean, how many times I avoided hot tub parties or pools because I didn't want to get in a bathing suit. Right? And, you know, I try to teach my clients, like, do you want to go to that pool party? Then go and you put on the best, you know, go invest in this sweet bathing suit, and you walk in there like, I feel great, because it's the energy, right? Like, I've got a girlfriend who's, I mean, to some would think she was overweight, and she's probably one of the most beautiful people that people know. Is she walks in a room and the whole room is like, you know, and she's not the fittest, she's not the leanest, but she definitely stands out in a room because of her energy. Yeah. She walks in there going, I feel good about myself, and
F all you all.
And that's right? It. Like, I don't care what anybody thinks. And we just need to learn that. Because really, ultimately, nobody cares. Like, you know, when people are intimidated and they come into a gym, they're all worried about what other people think. I always remind them, nobody cares. They're not looking at you. They're too worried about what they're looking like. Yeah. Right? I'm like, nobody cares. No one is looking at you and judging you. They're judging themselves. Yeah. So just release it and just get in there and learn what you need to do. And it's a conscious practice. Of course. It's a daily practice. This is not something that a person will just turn around, but I think it's important to just say, you know, and if you can't tell yourself that you love yourself right now, say, I'm working on loving you. I'm working on feeling great in my skin. I'm working on feeling good in these outfits because that's believable.
Yeah.
Right? I'm working on it.
Yeah, that is huge. And like,
right?
So main message out there, don't think that 30 days is going to be enough, right? These 30-day juice detoxifications. And
sometimes they're a good kickstart.
Sure.
Right?
If that's what gets your butt into gear and that makes you work every day at getting better at yourself, then fine. Go ahead and try that, right? But as long as you're building momentum, right?
That's
if you're expecting a result after 30 days and saying that's the end of my journey, you're missing the point.
Well, and I think if we think of this as more of a lifestyle than an end point, we don't get disappointed, because too many people, even after 6 months, go, how come I haven't lost any weight yet? I said, it might be 6 years before you see your results. And they're like, what? Because that seems like a long time.
It does.
But we have to make regular changes. Our bodies are very primitive. And the body has to trust us that we're going to fuel ourselves properly, we're going to work out properly, that we're going to rest properly in order for it to change. And until we have all those things in order, it's not going to change. You might get short little quick fixes, but look how many people go on those, low carb diet plans for even a few months, and then the minute they stop, they've gained all that weight plus more back again, and they're
100%.
right back at square one.
It's not sustainable.
Right? But if you work a little bit every day, little bit every day, one day you're going to wake up, because time goes by anyway. I mean, the last 20 years have flown by, right? And you think, a year from now or whatever, it's hard. We don't want to think that far because it seems so daunting, but one day you'll wake up, if you've just done it day by day by day, 5 years has gone by, and now all of a sudden you're in the best shape you've ever been. And you haven't even thought about it because you've just made daily little choices.
Yep. Exactly. That's awesome. Final question here. What's big in 2020? What's kind of on your mind in 2020? What are your final thoughts?
As far as what?
Anything, fitness, life in Calgary, anything. What's going on in your world?
I mean, as far as me personally, I set a mantra for myself this year, and it was, I like the I am mantras, and I really, and I say this to myself because I feel I can bring that energy out, but I am humble, I am grateful, and I'm kind. And really try to get out in the world like that, right? Just, I'm humble because, pride and ego doesn't get us anywhere. Right? It usually ends up biting us in the ass. I don't know everything, so I am always willing to learn. A lot of people are like, oh, you've got all this and you got all that. I'm like, yeah, but I still don't know everything. And I'll never know everything. That's why I continue to learn. I'm grateful because I've, number one, many great people in my life. I've got so many awesome clients. I have a body that allows me to do what I want to do every single day, which to me, I really remember that because I've worked with a lot of sick people, and that always scared me. I never want to get to the point where my body just shuts down and says, you're not doing the things you love to do anymore. That terrifies me. So I really a daily practice of just gratitude that I think everybody could benefit from. And then just, I'm kind. I believe that, our world is in just this state of chaos right now. And I think if everybody could just be a little kinder, not only to the others, but to themselves, just be kind to yourself, be kind to others, and it'll just have a ripple effect to everything, and it'll affect your fitness. You'll just be better. It'll affect your food choices because you'll want to be kind to yourself. You'll want to feed yourself kind foods. And just, I don't know, that's just something that I've kind of, I've learned from coaches over the years, that if you just focus on your own internal energy, it will also help other people around you. And I'm big on, I think we get too caught up kind of our own little world sometimes, is that it's important to, how can I support this person? How can I help others? How can I, like even for you deciding to do the podcast, you're not doing this. You're doing it because it serves something for you, but you're also doing it because you really want to serve other people. You want to bring education and help to people. That's why we're in industries that we are, right? Exactly. Because we want to help other people. Right. So I think that's going to be my mantra for the year. And then just hopefully with that energy, maybe have some sort of positive effect on people that I work with, and maybe even the industry as a whole.
Love it.
Yeah.
Okay, Rachel, thank you. Thank you so much for doing this. Have an awesome year. And subscribe to this podcast if you haven't already. Make sure you follow Rachel. Social media handles, do you want to say them out as well?
So Instagram, livingmeatless _ Rachel Joy, and then Facebook, Living Meatless Now.
Beauty. Yeah. Okay, Rachel, thank you so much.
Wonderful. Thank you.
All right.
That was good.
That was great.
You happy with that?
Goodness.